I have studied newspaper articles and magazine articles and online resources and dozens of books about bears attacking humans. I've come to some pretty surprising conclusions after studying more than 200 bear attacks on people, and I think the results are going to surprise you. Although this video is about black bears and grizzly bears, we have to address the elephant in the room right now, which is a lot of people thinking, well, what about polar bears? Okay, well, what about polar bears? Let's just address that and get it off to the side right now. The best way to describe polar bears' relationship with humans is when a polar bear sees something that's moving, he sees it as potential food, and his predator instincts are triggered. Polar bears and Eskimos have been killing and eating each other with roughly equal success for thousands of years until the advent of gunpowder gave people the upper hand. After all, to a polar bear, if it's a person wearing a sealskin or if it's a seal wearing a sealskin, what's the difference? They're both meat on the inside. So if a polar bear sees something that's moving, he sees it as potentially something to eat. And that's all I have to say about polar bears. So let's put that off to the side and let's talk about grizzlies and black bears. Most grizzly bear attacks are caused by people simply getting too close or threatening the bear in some way. If you're walking through thick brush along a stream and you get too close to a bear, he's very likely going to rearrange your face permanently and probably bite some holes in you, maybe shake you like a bobcat shakes a chipmunk. But after he neutralizes the threat, he's probably going to walk away. Of all these attacks by grizzly bears and their coastal cousins, the brown bear, they almost always involve just plain being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And maybe a person happens along a salmon stream and stumbles into a bear, or they are walking along in the woods and they come to a big mound of earth with a dead elk or a dead moose under it. That's a really bad place to be. In recent years, there's been more and more grizzly attacks from people who are shooting a game animal and then have to pack it out, and they're being attacked by grizzly bears that way. There are actually more grizzly bear attacks than black bear attacks because grizzlies more readily defend their territory, defend their food, defend their personal space. If you get too close, they're probably going to ruin your day. If a grizzly bear charges you, he's probably going to follow through with it. If a black bear charges you, most of the time it's a bluff charge. But I'll tell you from someone who has experienced it a couple times, a bluff charge from a black bear is a life-changing event. When they come roaring at you and huffing and slap their paws on the ground as they stop right before they get to you, I guarantee you, you are going to empty your adrenaline glands and probably your bladder. And you just never know if this one is the one that's not going to be a bluff. Black bear attacks typically fall into two categories. One is getting between a mother and the cubs, and even in that case, more often than not, the sow bear will try to avoid conflict. She'll put her cubs up a tree and remove herself from the situation if possible, but unfortunately many times people are attacked. Related to that is someone who maybe has wounded a bear while hunting and has to track that bear down, and the bear is possibly going to attack when he feels cornered. But even in this situation, most bears will continue to try to flee from the human until they feel like they have no option. And when they do attack, they can attack you with a tornado-like flurry, and there will be bloodletting. They're going to punch a lot of holes in you, typically by swiping you with their claws and by biting at your face. But the situation that surprises most people is that there are a lot of predatory black bear attacks. In fact, there are far more predatory black bear attacks than there are grizzly attacks that are predatory in nature. Grizzly bears are far more likely to turn you into a statistic, but if a black bear kills you, he's far more likely to eat you. All of these black bear attacks in the research in which the black bears actually consumed humans far more than the grizzly bears did, they were predatory in nature. And it usually involves a black bear coming along and pulling someone out of a tent, or stalking a hiker on a trail, or grabbing a child out of the backyard. And these are certainly outside the norm, but when they happen, the black bear kills and eats their victim. As long as they're not disturbed, they eat the vast majority of the person. There's not enough left for the funeral that you could put in a medium-sized Amazon box. The analysis of all these attacks clearly show that you are more likely to be turned into a steaming pile of bear scat by a black bear than you are by a grizzly. There are also a lot of predatory black bear attacks where they actually kill humans with the intention of using them for food. So there's a very outside chance you will ever see the inside of a bear, but if you do, it's more likely to be a black bear. If you want to learn more about black bears, especially their denning and hibernation, click this video up here, and if you want to see some great bear hunts, click this one down here. We'll see you on the next video.